Hello everybody, welcome to the Mental Health Challenge. My name is Vince Polizzi and you found this channel for a reason. I'm not sure exactly what your reason would be. You could be somebody that is suffering with bipolar disorder. You could be somebody that knows somebody who's suffering. You could be someone that's just caring for somebody, or you might just be someone that wants to get educated from a real life person who has suffered with bipolar disorder and who has survived and who is surviving, instead of getting it information through medical books and psychology books and things like that. So what's the purpose of this channel? You found this for a reason, and it's about education in understanding bipolar disorder. Let me just start off with a few things, looking at some terms here. The mental health challenge, the reason I call this a mental health challenge is that if you use your tools and you use your support and you get educated, you can make this a mental health challenge, which means you can fight this, you can succeed, you can live a better life, you can live symptom free. And I'm one of those people that has fought the fight, and I'm here to tell you that I can look you right in the eye, no matter how much you're suffering, where you've been, who you are. I could look you right in the eye and tell you, I understand. I understand exactly what you're talking about. I understand how you feel. When it comes back to being the mental health challenge, if I chose not to fight, and I chose not to get educated, and I chose not to take action, then to me, and I can only speak for me, that was where I would become a victim to what they call mental illness today. And I refuse to call it mental illness. I am not mentally ill. Yes, I have a disorder, I have bipolar disorder, but by fighting this thing, I make it a mental health challenge. Will I ever be cured of it? I don't think so. I don't know if that's possible. I mean, I do believe in miracles, but there's not going to be a lightning bolt that's going to take this away from me. It's something that I've had to learn to deal with, and I want to be able to teach you how to deal with this too, how to survive this, because the suicide rate in this country, in this world, is insane. There are so many people that give up and take their lives, and I don't want to have it. I don't want to have it. I don't want to lose any more people. We don't need to lose people, because we could fight this thing. You could survive this thing. You can be well. You can be symptom free. So when we look at mental health challenge, the diagnosis, bipolar disorder, what is it? It's basically extreme highs, extreme lows. This is my definition of it. You can read any book and find it, but it's where you have a chemical imbalance in the brain, where you develop these highs, these manic episodes, and then deep depressions, where you go the other way and you get into a super, super deep depression. It's not one of those things that you can just snap out of, okay? And the things that go with it, when you get diagnosed with it, again, it's a diagnosis, and I don't want to put myself in a box that this diagnosis defines me and already tells me that my life is over, I have to give up, and I'm just not going to be worth anything, But I am worthy, and so are you. So when it comes to the symptoms of bipolar and depression, whoever has experienced this, the anxiety, the fear, the wanting to be alone. We could want to sleep all day, we want to eat, we don't eat. Just the fear, anxiety of just the overwhelming feeling of despair and anger and just frustration, disappointment, and just feeling like there's no way out, like you're underwater and there's weights on you and you just cannot get to the top of the water and you can't breathe and you just want all the pain to end. I know that feeling. I know it very well. I've lived it. I've been a part of that. I didn't like it. No one likes it. I didn't ask for it, and none of you have asked for it either. We don't wake up one day and say, hey, I want to be bipolar. It's not the way it works. How I got bipolar, I don't know. There could be things like traumatic experiences. There are genetics involved, from what the medical books say, but it really doesn't matter how you get it. If you have it, you have to learn to live with it. You can live with it. You can be responsible. You can take action, and you can beat it. You can survive this and live symptom-free. One thing I want to focus on that you hear all the time is stigma. What is stigma? Let me give you a definition of it because it's pretty crazy. Stigma is a mark of disgrace associated with a particular circumstance, quality, or person. Let me read that again. Stigma, a mark of disgrace associated with a particular circumstance, quality, or person. That's horrible. And that stigma goes with this diagnosis of bipolar disorder. I'm not having it, I'm not one of those people that's just going to take that, go off in a corner and cry, end my life. It's just not the way it works. That makes me want to fight. I want to destroy that stigma. I want to help you to destroy that stigma. I want the world to know that people like us, we're not freaks. We have a disorder. It's a chemical imbalance in the brain that can cause us to have extreme highs, euphoria, mania, however you want to say it, and extreme lows, which is depression and all the symptoms that go with that. It's horrible. My story, to me, it's my story, it's my life, I own it. It's pretty horrific. I know you have a story, you know someone with a story. It's not a competition of who has the worst story or who suffered the most. It doesn't matter. But what matters is we learn, we get educated, and we get through this. We get through this together, and there's a lot of different ways that we can do that to get better and get well. So no matter how you got that way, you are responsible for getting well. I am responsible for getting well. There was no handbook for this when I started developing this when I was 15 years old. I didn't know what it was. My parents didn't know what it was. We had no idea what to do with it. So it was a long journey of education, a long journey of disappointment, fear, anxiety, frustration, lots of anger. And it was just a horrible thing. My plans for my life, out the window. None of them came true the way that I had hoped they would. But I wouldn't change anything because the way that my life is turning out and has turned out, I believe that God makes all things new. And I have learned how to deal with this, even though there's been so much suffering, disappointment, there's been struggle, there's been people affected by this, people that I've hurt through this, and those are things I'd always be sorry for, absolutely. But when I developed bipolar and I got the diagnosis of it, throughout that whole time, I had to learn how to make decisions and how to live my life with bipolar. So there was no handbook, again, for this. So a lot of the decisions that were made during that time, I had no idea if the result was going to be good, bad, or whatever, no matter what the choice was. I didn't ask for this, and I know you didn't ask for it. So along the journey, there was a lot of ups and downs, of course, a lot of disappointment. A lot of people were hurt. And, someday I hope that people would understand more or want to learn more to maybe understand what happened to me and what happens to you, So that all comes with education. So my goal with this is to be able to teach you what I've learned through my journey, through my suffering, through my pain, through my disappointment, and all the other things that go along with being diagnosed with bipolar disorder. We all want to think of it as a curse and I'm a freak and all that. It's not true. When it comes down to it, having bipolar and everything that goes with it is a gift. I know that's hard to believe, and believe me saying that now, that's crazy. But as you make it through and you learn how to go through it and you use tools and you use education to go through it, you'll find these little successes along the way. You will become better and better and better, and you can live a symptom-free life, and you can be healthy. And the biggest thing about it, the coolest thing, like I'm trying to do now, is that you could teach someone else. I don't want you to have to go through all the things that I've gone through. I want to be able to teach you that there are ways to get through this, maybe a shorter path, that you can be well, that you could be healthy, that you could be smiling again, laughing, hanging out with your friends and your family, and utilizing the gifts that you have, the God-given gifts that you have to be who you are. And I want you to be who you are. And I'm trying to be the best me that I can be. So through this journey, I want to go through all the different things that I can that will lead you to a path of change. It all comes down to wanting to be well, being responsible. No matter how we got here, we are responsible for being well. So that means we have to have an action plan. So we have to take an action plan. We have to learn tools. We have to be responsible. And there is hope. With all these things, there is hope. You can make it through this. I'm making it through this. Yeah, I still struggle. Of course I still struggle. I'm going to have ups and downs. I'm going to have these feelings that I don't understand. I'm going to be angry. I'm going to be scared. I'm going to want to not go somewhere, or be afraid of going somewhere, or being afraid of saying certain things, or what my behavior is going to be, or, kind of doing checks. How's my behavior? Am I making sense? All these checks that I do daily to make sure that I am healthy and that I am working hard at staying healthy. But through this whole path, there was a lot of crazy things, but there's hope. And I want you to know that there's hope and that you can do this. So I'm not a doctor, not a psychologist. I don't play one on TV. I'm just a regular, average person that has gone through a lot of suffering and pain due to this diagnosis that I developed when I was 15 years old. And I just want to be able to shed some light for you and whoever's watching that bipolar disorder is not a curse. It could be a gift, and it is something you could survive, and it is something that you can make it through, and you can take all those horrible symptoms and this definition of stigma that is horrible, and you can overcome it. You can fight it, you can overcome it. You don't have to give up. You have to be courageous. Suicide, death, not wanting to be here, I know those feelings. I know that firsthand. It's not an option. Failure only happens when we quit. I'm not quitting. I don't want you to quit. That's why I'm here. I don't want you to quit. I want you to know right now that you can be better, you can be healthy, you can be laughing again, you can be doing all those fun things that you want to do. So hope is a big thing. There's a lot of hope. There will always be hope, but we have to do the work, okay? So let me tell you a little bit about myself. When I was 15 years old, actually when I was 14 years old, I started to develop depression. Didn't know what it was. I was sad. I was afraid. I didn't want to go to school anymore. I didn't want to go outside. I was embarrassed. I had no idea what this was. And I was a kid that was really good at sports, had lots of friends. I was silly. I always had a little bit of a comedic ability to make people laugh. It all ended. It ended. It went to the point where I could not make people laugh. I couldn't focus in school. I couldn't do my homework. I didn't want to be with my friends. I prayed for rain when it came to baseball games, and I love baseball. Loved to play, was good at it, and it was one of my dreams, of course. Maybe someday I could have played more, college ball, even more high school ball, but things didn't really work out for me because I was always dealing with the illness and the symptoms that go with it, my mental health challenge, where I never made it through high school. I didn't graduate from high school, and every time a sport came up, I was sick. I was depressed, and I could not function the way I need to function. I couldn't focus or anything like that. So I remember in 8th grade even, got straight A's all the way through math. Loved math, had some buddies in my class. We competed all the time in math, and these guys were really smart. They were quick and they were smart, and they can solve problems, fast. I wasn't that way. I had to really study. I had to work hard. I was always the last one in the class to finish the test. But I aced them. I aced all my math tests the whole year in 8th grade. When the finals came around at the end of the year, I was depressed. Couldn't focus, couldn't think, I was afraid, full of anxiety. I failed my test. It was like I never did a math problem in my life, and to me that was devastating. As well as trying to play baseball, at that time. I go to my baseball games. Although my abilities came through, I was able to play when I did play, but my head wasn't in the game, and it was really frustrating and scary to not want to do something that you love. That's horrible. So as I continued on, through my life, and then at 15 was my first manic episode. So I became manic, which means I was out of touch with the reality. I had this high where my thoughts were racing a million miles an hour. I thought everything was beautiful. I had these grandiose thoughts. I was completely out of touch with reality, heard voices, saw things that weren't there. Terrible. Had no idea what it was. My parents had no idea what it was. And that was the beginning of this journey for me. So throughout that time until now, I had to learn, I had to get educated, and there's so much more to the story that I want to share with you and teach you what I've learned, what works, what doesn't work, and how I'm making it through, how I'm surviving, how I choose to be well. You have to be courageous, you have to fight, you have to learn, you have to get educated, and you can't be sucked into that diagnosis. It's just a word, diagnosis. It doesn't define me. It doesn't make me any less than a person that I am, because I am worthy and I am someone that is needed in this world, and I know I'm loved. So with all the horrific things that have happened over the years, and that was 15. I'm 54 years old right now, and I'm talking to you with a wealth of experience of getting through this, a lot of horrific things, a lot of disappointment, a lot of people that were hurt through this, through decisions I've made, again, under the influence of the diagnosis of being bipolar, where I didn't know what the response was going to be or the outcome's going to be with a lot of decisions I made while in bipolar. And one of the big things I want to tell you now, if you are feeling well and you are bipolar or going through depression, or you're in a good place and you take medication and you're doing well, stay on your medication. It's not a good choice. I've done it a couple of times, and it was devastating. It was devastating to me, and it was devastating to people around me. And I lost a lot. And I lost a lot through it, but again, it was an experience of wanting to fight that stigma. What is that again? A mark of disgrace associated with a particular circumstance, quality, or person. So the reason I went off my medication was I wanted to be normal. There's no such thing as normal. And the times I went off my medication, it destroyed me. And it destroyed my family. And it destroyed a lot of relationships that to this day, I'm not sure what to do with it. I do my best to move forward. And I hope there's a lot of healing that has happened for me and for the people that I've hurt. Again, but that was my choice to go off my medication because I wanted to be normal. I didn't want to live with that definition of stigma because that's horrible. So I made it through all those things and I'm surviving, and I want you to make sure that if you're doing well and you're on medication, stay on it. Don't mess with that. It's not an answer. You don't have to be normal because there's no such thing as normal. Normal is being the best you that you can be, the responsible you, the healthy you. That is the key there. So I want to be able to share my life with you, my experiences with you. I want to be able to share tips and tools and all the things that have worked for me, all the things that haven't worked for me. And I want to be able to share that with you. So along with these videos that I'm doing, I want you to really pay attention. I want you to listen. I want you to know that I do understand. I understand bipolar, all the horrible symptoms that go with it. I have my story. I'll continue to share it with you. You have your story. So I want to be able to help you shed some light, help you to take some steps in the positive direction, knowing that you can do baby steps. If your victory today is getting out of bed, brushing your teeth, hey, that's a victory. Take it. You got to build on it, and you got to move on from there. So I really want you to be educated on this, and I want you to share this with other people. So I want you to share this video, like this video, subscribe to this. I don't want you to miss anything, and there'll be more information. There's links on the bottom of this video that'll take you to one of my pages where I offer a membership and an ebook, all the tools that I have, what works, what doesn't work. And through those things, as you join the membership, you get tools, you get weekly affirmations, you get Comedy Corner. Without sense of humor, I would not be making it. You have to have a sense of humor. We have to look at ourselves. We have to find the comedy in our day because that's what keeps us going. I know this is serious. I know it can be horrible. There's still comedy in your day. There's comedy in your day today. No matter how bad it was, there's something funny in your day. And you have to find it and you have to use that. So those are parts of the things in the membership and the ebook, what I'm offering as you find the links below to get to that. Now I'm going to continue these videos. This is the Mental Health Challenge. I want you to learn